I've spent some time talking to players about what they say about teams. I speak to executives about that too. When you work for a team, there's a tendency to you're in competition with the other 29 teams. There are players who are penny wise and pound foolish, who can't help themselves, who will talk smack about another team. There are executives who will talk smack about other executives and other teams. And what I try to tell players or assistant GMs or people in the analytics department or amateur scouts is that we have that's another dollar. There's a very small world in baseball that consists of 30 organizations. And it's very silly if you're a player or if you're a staff member to say anything that would take an organization off the board. Joe Kelly released a video. He's the pitcher, and he wasn't even on the postseason roster. But he did a video. He went on a podcast, the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast. He really did say the quiet part out loud. And I want to talk about what the quiet part was. He talked about the Yankees team. He talked about the mismatch that was the World Series. He talked about the fact that it was a mismatch from the get-go. He said if we had a playoff re-ranking, they might be ranked the 8th or 9th best playoff team. You're putting the Padres ahead of them, the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves. The Guardians played like crap, but the Guardians played better defense and better baseball all around. A complete mismatch. All we knew is we had to play regular Dodger baseball. Don't do anything crazy, and we were going to win the World Series. So, Coca, as people finish reading, if you're watching this or if you're listening, it's a bit of a longer quote, but the bottom line is Joe Kelly was talking about the Yankees the way we were, the way many people were, many people commenting, saying they're a fundamentally flawed team. They are a team that, interestingly enough, would have no chance of winning over a long series against a superior opponent because it turns out fundamentals matter, little things matter, base running matters, defense matters, all of it encapsulated in the top of the 5th inning of Game 5, but many of the errors and problems encapsulated in prior games, runners being thrown out on bases, not taking the extra base, not hitting the cutoff man on defense, not throwing to the right base, allowing a runner to advance the way Aaron Judge did in that inning, just all sorts of things. That was in the 8th inning, all sorts of little things. Before a series even starts, you have meetings with pitchers, you have meeting with hitters, you have team meetings. The scouts present the scouting reports that they've come up with, the pro scouts, the advanced scouts, with what you are going to see in the series. There are individual meetings with individual pitchers and hitters, collective meetings, all sorts of information. Sometimes people would argue too much information. The Dodgers had it nailed. They actually told their players that before the series even started, that they were more talented, that the Yankees were inferior fundamentally, that all we have to do is play the sound baseball that we've played, and the Yankees will beat themselves. They pointed out to the Dodgers that the Yankees are the worst base running team. They pointed out that by every metric, they're the worst. They pointed out that the Padres, who the Dodgers had already beaten, were way better than the Yankees in every way, in every facet of the game. Even the lineup, pitching, base running, defense, everything. They actually told their players that you don't ever have to worry. And I was thinking back to what we told our players before we won the World Series in 2003, and we were not focused at all on that. We were far more macro. And we said, don't be intimidated because the Yankees in your Yankee Stadium and the Yankees have all this playoff experience. Remember, they'd won the World Series 98, 99, 00 and lost it in 01 to the Diamondbacks. Don't think about any of that. Just be the team that you are. Juan Pierre, get on base. Luis Castillo, get him over. Pudge Rodriguez, get him in. Miggy, if Pudge can't, you do it. And then we still have a tremendous bottom of the lineup with Conine and Lowell and Derek Lee, etc. We didn't have that level of analytic information. But if we did, I would have used it in order to give the players the confidence before the first pitch is even thrown. And I used to never believe in this until I was in a clubhouse for long enough. And I would talk to players before a game, and they would say, when Randy Johnson's pitching against him, oh man, we got to score 10 runs. Our pitcher stinks. Or the pitcher would say, can't give up a run because our offense won't score against Randy. These things are real. Think about how the Dodgers felt. And it didn't occur to me because I picked the Yankees in 7. If I had thought through it, I would have picked the Dodgers in 5. So Brian Cashman is forced to address this. And he actually basically agreed, which is mind-boggling, because in the same sentence that he agreed with Joe Kelly, he also said, by the way, I love our team. I love Aaron Boone. Best manager. Couldn't ask for a better manager. When asked about Nestor Cortez pitching in the 10th inning, that's manager's decision, and I back him up. It didn't work, but that's why he's paid the big bucks, which, of course, is total horse hockey. Brian Cashman absolutely lied to everyone in the media when he said it. If you think Brian Cashman did not know that Nestor Cortez was going to be in the 10th inning to face Freeman and Ohtani, then you just are wrong. You're just wrong. So Cashman is in a position to go back to Hal Steinbrenner and say the team that we put together for about $300 million was an inferior team. Well, what about, should we just get Soto back? Well, we could do that, but we'll still be the same team. Well, we'll lose Torres. Maybe we could sign a third baseman. Bregman? No. Cashman hasn't gotten over the Houston cheating scandal. They're not going to sign Alex Bregman. I promise you that. I promise you that. He will not be Yankee. There's a ton of other third basemen. Move Jazz to second. Natural position where he started. It's just fascinating that a team wins the pennant, gets completely attacked by fans, by media, has 2 days to get over it, acknowledges that his team was inferior, and they start again. The hamster wheel of baseball, it is rolling. The other thing that came out yesterday was that Dave Roberts had sat down with Mookie Betts, and he had told Mookie Betts before the World Series, listen, Mookie, we won the World Series. We beat the Padres down 2-1. This is just a formality, beating the Yankees, a formality, beating the Mets. Quite interesting. Because then he admitted, while it's a formality, that he didn't want to get to a game 6, which is why he managed the way he did in game 5. And he told the media, I will tell you this now publicly. I was so afraid to come back to Los Angeles for game 6. I know we still had Yamamoto in our back pocket. The point being, if we were to come back, the noise, the pressure becomes real, because then you're going to start potentially being part of history in the wrong way. On CBS Sports HQ and on Nothing Personal on the DraftKings Network, we told you that game 5 was going to be managed like a game 7. We also told you during the course of game 5, when Judge and Chisholm went back-to-back and then Stanton made it 3-0, that you could say, and Yankee fans were, we just won the series in 7. Turns out Dave Roberts was just as afraid as Jack McKeon was of going to a game 7. Dave Roberts was afraid of going to a game 6. Of course, all managers would say that once they win the game, that they don't have to face their fear. Because, believe me, if the Dodgers had won in 6 games, Dave Roberts to the media would have said, I will tell you this now publicly, I was so afraid for a game 7. I know we had Buehler in our back pocket. The point being, if we were going to go to a game 7, the pressure becomes real, because then you're going to start potentially being part of history in the wrong way. So it's good for either game, but it's good that he said it.